Aloha, gang. Dr. Russ Rosen here. Welcome to Rosen Interviews the Greats. And we absolutely have one of the all time greats with us today, and that is Dr. Phil Ricchiazzi. Dr. Phil, the real deal, the real Dr. Phil. Talk to me, brother. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Russ. How are you? How are you doing? It's been about a month or so since I've talked to you.
Been a while, just been a little bit. So listen, Dr. Phil and I have been working together for about 13 years now. I just checked back in the file because time flies when you're having fun, and we've certainly had a whole lot of fun. I've interviewed you before in the past for Dr. Rosen Interviews the Greats. We talked about your amazing practice, that you're waitlisted. I think you're waitlisted through June.
Yeah.
Right now we're recording in April. You've got an amazing, wonderful practice filled with the exact ideal kinds of clients that you like to work with. It's a great practice. We've done an interview on that before. We're not going to be doing that today. Today, we're going to be doing an interview on this really wonderful book that you came up with. So, do me a favor, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you came up with this amazing book.
Okay. Well, like you said, I've been in practice and with you for 13 years. I'm coming up on 19 years in practice. So you've actually been with me for most of my practice now. Which looking back, I'm shocked that it's been, coming on 20 years. In the book, I say, nearly 20 years of experience. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's me. Like, where did all that time go?
Yeah.
The reason why I wrote this is because I have been dealing with aging parents, and I'm always giving them exercises, things to do. And honestly, I am seeing more older people. The statistic is that right now, in the next 5 years, 1 in 6 people will be over the age of 65 in the world. And in the next 25 years, that's going to be 1 in 5.
Wow.
And so we have an aging population that we need to deal with. And we're going to be seeing more of those. Yes, I get people that are, 25, 35 coming in with accumulated stress and all that type of stuff. But it is true. I am definitely seeing older population, and they go out and they're doing yoga and they're doing different exercises and they're hurting themselves. And I'm always like trying to manage, like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? And they're doing all these crazy things. So I came up with the Care Yoga for Seniors because I wanted a gentle way for people to get into exercise if they're not doing any. We want to get them moving. If people are exercising and moving, I want them to do it safely. So the book goes through ways to, if you're feeling like I have never even done anything, this is a safe book for you. If you feel like, hey, I need to advance what I'm doing, I have ways to make the exercises harder, or if it seems too hard, to make it easier. And honestly, I've had people purchase the book and people in my practice that have either they're going through rehab, or they're post surgery, they're not as mobile as they were because of weight. So even though it's Care Yoga for Seniors, I found that it's benefiting everybody that are having some mobility issues and are not confident enough to not have a support next to them. So that's the reason why I wrote it.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is the reality. We have people that we will say, okay, are you doing stretching? Are you doing strengthening? Are you doing exercises? Are you doing yoga? But the truth is, we don't know what they're doing. And the
Right.
odds are they're probably doing it wrong. And the odds are they're probably hurting themselves. And so, if we could have something that we can depend on, that this is a good way to do it. And the thing I love about the book is, first of all, it's a really wonderful book. And when you go through the table of contents, I mean, it's got everything you could ever need in there. It's really simple. There's a really great beginning on each section of why you want to do it, but it works all the way from they're a couch potato, all the way through up things like balance, which is such a critical piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
Because they lose their balance, they end up falling. If they end up falling, one of the statistics is they go one step down. So if they're using a cane, they'll end up with a walker. If they go to a walker, they'll end up in a wheelchair. If they're in a wheelchair, they're going to end up dead.
Yeah.
right? I mean, we just know that these things are true. So it's a way of, with our patients, being able to meet them right where they're at, have something that we can really depend on, and then make sure that they're doing something right and that they're actually not going to be injuring themselves or making themselves worse.
Yes, and I agree. When I was doing my research, I have an older population that I work with, and like I said, my parents, I see them aging. I see what they have issues with, and it really comes down to like the big three. Actually, there's four, but the big three are mobility, flexibility, balance issues, and strength. And so when I was designing these exercises, I was thinking about ADLs. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's important to be able to get on and off of a toilet or stoop down and bend. Um, and then weight loss is also in the book because these are things that an older population is struggling with. So I wanted to make sure that because I looked and I have done a lot of research on this book, and one thing I didn't like was either there was a lot of stuff that was online, but we're talking about 65 plus when it comes to age groups. And believe me, I have my best friend is in his 30s, and there's a lot of things he doesn't even know. He's like, I don't know how to get onto these gadgets. So, I wanted a book because I know there's a lot of things online, but an older population really resonates with having like a workbook I can open up. I can put this on, a little stand. I can go and make notes as if this is the feedback I've gotten. Like I can go in there, like it's a workbook size book. So they can go in and make it their own. And I designed it so that people can make it their own. You don't have to do anything in order in this book. I designed it so everything can be done in 10 minutes, but there are things that you can pick from a warm up. I want to work on strength today. Okay, go to the strength chapter. I want to work on flexibility and mobility. Maybe do that as your warm up. So it's tailored so that you can be very um, effective on what you want to work on, but it's not going to be boring. And I know they're all safe. I've gone through every one of these exercises. I really thought about how can I make this easier? Because even though, I have a certain capacity and I'm like, this is the easiest thing known to man. And then I have like my mom who's having flexibility issues try to do the exercise and she can barely do it. I'm like, oh, okay. It just reminds you how much people can do and can't do. And then, I use some other patients to go through the book, and they were like, this is way too easy. I'm like, okay, let's make this a little harder. Um, so I think for that perspective, it's good to know that the source has been well thought out. I know when I give these exercises, obviously I design them. But anybody that's going to be buying the book in the future, I want them to know, hey, I'm a chiropractor. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what's safe. I know what's not safe. And that's why I designed all these so that you can go through this program, regardless if it's me or patients of colleagues that you have using it. It's been well thought out.
Yeah. And it's almost in a templated format in that they really don't have to just do these. They could just pick and choose, and you can help them figure it out. Each one, goes into the description of how to do it, repetitions, the benefits. I also like that you show modifications. So
Right.
if I want to make it easier, this isn't quite working, then I do this. If I want to make it a little bit harder, I can do that. And it's really something that is customizable for each person. And we were just talking about this on YouTube. I watch a handful of things on YouTube. One of the commercials that I get all the time is this old timer talking about the chair exercise routine and just how to, get a flat stomach in this period of time on the chair. But the chair is really such a great way to be able to easily and safely do these particular kinds of things. My mother-in-law last week was saying that we got her a new dishwasher, and she got down on the ground to look under to see if there was any water because she thought maybe that it wasn't connected right. And then she said she had to crawl all the way to the couch so that she could get herself up. Like she
Mm.
hadn't been on the ground in a long time, and she realized I can't even get up off the ground. So that, if you're not in that situation, you don't recognize how difficult that is. Personally, having been through a ruptured disc. And really, if I would got on the ground, I would have never got up. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's, again, if you're an athlete, you're thinking, well, chair yoga is just a waste of time. Think about it again. We've got people who've been injured, we've got people who are having any kind of issues, and definitely as they're getting older. And if we don't use it, you lose it. That is
Yeah.
simply what happens. So the more that they can do safe and effective stretching, strengthening, mobilizing, and without a doubt, the balance. Personally, I think that that's a really great thing. How do you utilize it in your practice?
Well, basically, anybody that's already existing in the practice, I'm talking about these exercises all the time. So if something's coming up and they're, I'm recognizing they need a little help in an area, or they're like, hey, what can I do for this? I will, recommend an exercise, and I say it happens to be in this book. So I will lead them to the front desk, show them where it is in the book. I tell them if they have any questions about it, please let me know. What I'm also doing for new patients is just added value. Is that I follow exactly the program that you lay out, and so part of my report of findings at the beginning is just added value, and I include the book. Um, I also find that it is really beneficial for people that just have desk jobs, because I have people that are very athletic that don't really need to start from base camp one, but they're like, oh, I really like that I can do this routine from a chair at my desk.
Great
And
idea.
I can, these are the things that I say when I'm like, I want you to make sure you're not sitting for more than 20 minutes. Get up, even if it's for a minute, and then go back to work. You could easily do a handful of these within a minute and then just get back. I just want to get the blood pumping again. So I use it in that respect as well for people that are not seniors. I have a whole chapter just on what to do from from your desk, because there are seniors that are still working. I mean, just because you turn 65 doesn't mean you just, retire and decide not to do anything anymore. So I have a chapter on that. I also have a chapter on breathing. I have a chapter on basically getting your body into the place where you can start to, engage in yoga. So like that can be used for anybody. I give that out to people that are having, they're under a lot of stress, and just to try to help them with their breathing. There's probably about, I can't remember offhand, um, probably five, maybe six different breathing techniques in the book. One just like breathing while you're doing your practice, and then 3 to 5 other ones that you would just do on your own, just kind of help center, bring down that sympathetic response a little bit, if you will. So I do give it out for new patients at the beginning. Existing patients, we're going through the book. I have told everybody about it. Whenever it comes up about anything, almost everything is in here. So I encourage people to pick one up just so they have it. It's almost having a little mini Dr. Phil in their ear, because they hear me saying all the time when I'm showing them an exercise, okay, if that's too easy, do it like this. Oh, if that's too hard, back it off like this. I do that every time with everybody anyway. So now it's just all written down. I'm very consistent. I know if this patient is doing ankle mobility, I know exactly what they're doing because it's from a source that I have given them. And I like that consistency, because then there's repeatability in that. And the other thing that I tell every single patient, it's about consistency. That is really the name of the game. You might have 10% in you today. Do 10%. Tomorrow you may have 80%. Do 80%. It's not about being perfect every time. It's just about showing up every day, 5 to 6 times a week, doing a 10-minute routine. You can build on these routines and make it 20, 30, 40 minutes if you want. But that's basically how I use it. And
Yeah.
that's how I recommend to use it.
Yep, and you could certainly give it out as gifts. You could certainly have them, great gifts to give away for birthdays or Christmas or any of that kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of talks. I like series of talks. It would be a wonderful workshop that you could
Hmm.
ask people to do. Come to the workshop. I'm going to be showing you the specifics on this. Everybody leaves with the book. Everybody brings friends. We're going to do things together. We're going to show you specific things to do exactly the right way, et cetera, et cetera. Anytime I can get people to come to a workshop and bring friends, anytime I do that, I know that I can get a whole lot of new patients from it. I know in your particular case that that is the last thing you need is a whole lot of new patients right now. But for a lot of the people out there, they are looking for new patients. And again, this is a great way in because they get a hit of you, right? And in my world, for those of you who are listening, I've got my how to open and close empowerment series. This would be an empowering series talk. So I would start off because I'm a chiropractor, I would say, don't you chiropractors just crack necks? Why are
Yeah.
you talking about chair yoga? Well, mental, emotional, biochemical, physical, subluxation. Today we're talking about physical, right? And
Yep.
and if we don't, if we are causing physical problems, we're going to keep recreating the same subluxations and injuring ourselves. Show the yoga, do the workshop, come back to this and say, next week we'll be talking biochemical. Next week we'll be talking
Yes.
nutrition. Next week, we'll be talking mental, emotional. Next week, we'll be talking whatever. But this is why. But it's all based around this subluxation. I want you to be able to get healthy, stay healthy, and have the best life possible. And one of the things you can do to help support what we're presently doing is you can do these specific things right here. So
Yeah.
that's a way that I like to use that at all.
Well, and to piggyback on that, that was really kind of the inspiration of the whole thing. We always talk about the three paradigms of stress: the physical, chemical, mental, emotional. And I'm waitlisted until June right now. I try to get in a crisis patient if I'm just like, there's nowhere else they can go. My assistant knows, like, okay, that's not my main focus. And then they get on the waiting list to come in once they've come down. But I was trying to think, like, how can I expose myself more? And even though I can't take in a lot of new patients, this is one way that I could do that because I could get that out there. But in the back of my head, I was already thinking I want to focus on probably three books. The first book is physical. And then the second book is going to be chemical and mental emotional. I'm already working on that second one right now because I want this to be a three-folded type of idea that you could all bundle together because it's based off of that. I talk about that every day to
Yeah.
every patient, every time.
Yeah, one of the things that, again, it's probably not something that you're going to need to do, but for those of you listening, one of the things I've had doctors do is that the deeper you get waitlisted, for people to get on your wait list so that they're allowed to come in and see you, they have had to already come to your basic talk. They've already come to this talk, right? Oftentimes when I'm working with doctors, they have to come to the nutrition talk. They need to start making dietary changes and get on specific nutrients before they're allowed to come in for visit one. Again, just to think outside of the box, when you've got more demand than you do have supply, these are barriers or hurdles that you can put up. So by the time they get into your office, we know 100% they are the right type of person that wants exactly what you offer, and you're going to have 100% sign up rate. They've already been through your talks, they've already started on their nutrition, they've already started on these things. And the basic wrap is look, I have a lot more demand than supply. I really want to be able to help you and get you moving in the right direction. Start on these things so when we get started, we can really hit the ground running. And you come up with three books like that, that's exactly what you can do
Yeah.
before people can get in to see you. It's best for them, it's best for you. Again, if you're running an acute crisis practice, you can't run it that way. But if you're working like you do, which is I want to help people get healthy and stay healthy, they are coming because they understand that, you're 100% internal referral. Everybody that comes to see you is for that reason. Then this type of procedure works.
See, and this is exactly why I still coach with you 13 years later, Russ, because even though you've told me that a million times, I'm hearing this stuff going, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, yeah, I should do that. So it's always good to have those reminders no matter how long, I've been coaching, because you're right. It is a good way to leverage that to get it out to those people. I know they're all on the same page when they enter. They already understand where I'm coming from because we all know that there's a lot of different types of chiropractic care, and the experience of a lot of these people coming in from very crisis type to a more wellness type is, they don't know. They just think they're coming in there for just, a crack without knowing anything that's happening, or an instrument adjustment or whatever it may be. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of education that has to happen. So it's good if you can do a lot of that on the front end before they even walk in the door.
Yep, yep. And then again, it gets to 100% sign up rate because we've already done all this. Any other things you wanted to cover in relationship to the book? Oh, how do they get it?
So it's on Amazon. That's probably the easiest way to get it, and it's called Chair Yoga for Seniors. If they, we'll put up a link. I'm sure that you could probably send out. It is by HealthWorks Publishing, so that's kind of the key. Is put in Chair Yoga for Seniors, HealthWorks Publishing. You'll see the blue book with the woman sitting in the chair there. And that's the best place to go get it. Right now, it is at an introductory rate of $14.99. I wanted to keep it low. There are books there for $29.99, $39.99. It is. I would recommend the paperback. Honestly, there is a hardcover that's about $10 more. There is a Kindle version as well, but I find that very difficult for patients and for me, to try to navigate through, like, where is this? So I kind of made it in the mindset of go get the paperback. It's workbook size that you can easily open up. And it's $14.99 right now. It is going to be going up in about 3 weeks or so. But I wanted to keep this introductory rate until we had a chance to talk. And, I hope that whoever decides to take a look at it find some benefit from it. And if it's a doc or another patient, if you found some benefit, please write a little review on there as well. That really helps get the word out
Yeah,
as
beautiful.
well.
I give it two thumbs up. It is a beautiful book, really well written. I've known you for a long time, and I knew if you were going to write this, this was going to be good because there's a
I
lot of
also
crap
I
out there.
kept and I kept it under wraps from you too. I didn't even tell Russ about this book. I just sent him a copy
Yeah,
because
yeah,
one thing I didn't want to hear from anybody, family, friends, colleagues, how's that book going? How's that book going? How's that book going? I just would be like, don't worry about it. It took me about 10 months to put this book together. So um, once it was done, I started sending it out and everybody's like, when did you write a book?
yeah,
So that
yeah.
was the best way.
Really,
I'm
really,
glad you like it.
really great job on it.
Great, thank you.
Before we head out, I'm just going to ask you this question off the top of your head. If somebody were listening to this right now and they were thinking of coaching with me or doing work with me, what would you tell them?
I just had this conversation with somebody in St. Louis because I was there last week for an activator seminar, and I gave out your name. And it was the number one thing I said that turned around my practice was coaching with you. I said, because I had coached with two other people before that, a big group right when I got into practice. And there was just something that didn't feel right about it. It helped me learn just kind of like, how to run insurance when I was running insurance, which was completely what I didn't want to do, but that's what they did. So I followed suit. The second one was a wellness kind of group, and I felt icky inside the whole year I was with them because it was all kind of very bait and switchy. And I was talking to my chiropractor that we trade. He was the one that I was talking to you about. And he's been in practice for like 30 years. He's getting ready to retire. And he was just asking me all these questions about you because he's like, well, where did you learn that? Where did you learn that? How do you know to do that? I'm like, well, Dr. S, Dr. S, Dr. S. And I'm getting paid to say that. Um, but I talked to when I was talking to him because we had a lot of time to talk at this seminar. Usually we just kind of adjust each other and we're on our way. Um, he's like, I really like the way that you present things to patients. He's like, you see people more than like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, yeah, I see people more than 3 or 4 times. He's like, I'm constantly trying to reinvent the wheel and get new people in and new people in and new people in. And, I just started saying a few things. He's like, I think I really need to call Russ. I said, if you do, make sure you mention my name. So I think it just established me. It was it was definitely what I was looking for. If you're looking for something that is not insurance based, not scare tactics, you feel authentic, you feel like you're not selling, you feel that you're just giving the best care that they need, regardless what their insurance company says, regardless what their pharmaceutical or their MD wants them to do. You're being honest with these people. And I never feel like I have to sell anything. I have a pretty good conversion rate when it comes to reported findings. I mean, I would say it's 95 plus.
Yeah,
When somebody doesn't sign up for care, I'm shocked.
right.
And I'm like, what did they do wrong? I always turn it on to me. But, um, it's not about that. I just kind of meet them where they are. I move them forward. Um, and we come up with a plan that's going to work for them. And then we go step by step from there. And that, I learned all that from you. So a long way
Beauty,
of saying, hire you.
beauty, beauty, beauty. Thank you, my brother. Anything else you wanted to say in relationship to this before we head out?
I think we covered everything. You're probably going to send out maybe a link. I'll send you the direct link to the actual book so that nobody has to go try to like search it. And then if there's any questions, I'm happy to help answer anything I can. But everything is there. I made it to be very self-sufficient. There should be no questions. There's a lot in here, a lot of detail about why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody enjoys it.
Yeah, again, tremendous book. Thank you for doing this for all of us. For the rest of you, hope you found great value. As always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.